Okay, hello, and welcome to the How to Build a Million Dollar Net Worth webinar, which also doubles as our Wealth Circle informational webinar. So before we get this money party started, if you could find your way over to the chat and let me know where you're calling in from today. I am thrilled to have you here. And if you are someone who has decided that 2024 is going to be your year of wealth building, your financial transformation year, well, I'm honored to be in your presence, actually, because I remember when I made that decision for myself, and I have been watching my money and my life expand ever since. So, where are you from? Let me find, oh my goodness, flying in New Orleans, Massachusetts, Bethany Beach. Don't know it. I want to be at the beach right now. All right, New York, Denver, Dallas, Austin, me too, Connecticut, Florida, Vancouver, amazing, Seattle, Portland. So happy to have you all here. Welcome. I love seeing representation from all over the country. That's a lot of what our Wealth Circle looks like. So if it's your first time joining a Factora webinar, awesome. Everything we do here surrounding money are vulnerable, judgment-free spaces. So do feel free to get interactive in the chat throughout this presentation. Share your financial experiences as they come up. Answer polls that we will be putting on your screen. Yeah, just get a sense of what it's like to be in a wealthy women's community. And we will reserve time at the end for Q&A so I can get all of your Wealth Circle questions answered. All right. So we love money wins here at Factora, big or small. What is one money win you've experienced recently? Head back over to the chat and let me know. Mine is that my investments made $86,000 last year. So that's a whole damn salary. I did a post about it on LinkedIn. And I just want to recognize for a second that I am 37 years old and I did not start actively investing until my early 30s. So if you're in that boat too, or if you feel behind, or if you're not making that kind of money from your investments, it is possible for you. And I know you can do it because it's exactly what we teach in the Wealth Circle, and I watch so many women do it. So let's check out your money wins. Created and invested a Roth IRA. We love to see it. Made her commission goal for the year. Student loans paid. 3 months of emergency funds saved. Y'all have been coming to these webinars, haven't you? Started investing, barely, but that's why I'm here. Thank you, Milana. That's such a great comment. Paid for her wedding without going into debt. That's a big deal, Mariah. These are awesome. Hannah's at her first Factora webinar. Welcome, Hannah. Okay, so read each other's because I want you to see what other people are up to. And here's someone from our community, Shannon W. passed the 500K mark on her way to building $1 million net worth. So I do have bad news to share. This stat sucks. 59% of women ages 20 to 34 defer their investing decisions and financial planning over to male counterparts. Did you know that? Because it's not good. We are far too capable of doing this ourselves that we should not be handing over our financial autonomy to men who did not get any more of a financial education in school or by their parents than we did anyways. Another stat that really fires me up, only a quarter of American women are actively investing in the stock market. And y'all, the stock market has proven to be one of the best wealth builders over long time periods. That is why all of our retirement accounts use it, right? So if you have a 401k or a 403b or an IRA or an HSA, it's giving you access to stock market investments. And it's holding that money for a long time period while you work over here in your career so it can grow over here. So like, if you have one of those, you're already utilizing the stock market to grow your retirement nest egg. You just can be doing it better. If you understand it, you'll likely be doing a lot more of it. And that's probably one of the biggest, most common profiles I see when women come into the Wealth Circle. Like, they might have retirement accounts, but they don't really understand what they're invested in. And then 3 months later, after the Wealth Circle, they are confidently choosing different funds, changing their portfolio diversification, and upping their investment contribution so that they can be maxing them out. And that brings me immense joy, because it will literally change your future if you can start doing that now. And here's why all that matters. I know you know about the gender wage gap, where women are earning 82 cents to the man's dollar, even less for women of color. But a lesser known and far more detrimental gap is actually the investment gap. So while the wage gap costs women hundreds of thousands of dollars, the investment gap is costing us millions of dollars because of 3 things. 1, men earn more. You can see that by his salary at age 30 being 30K more than hers. 2, men start investing earlier in their lifetime. And 3, they invest more money more often. So this also means that they hold less of their earned income in cash, which I'm going to show you why that's a really big deal later in the presentation. But here's the good news. When women do invest, we tend to outperform our male counterparts. So as long as we learn how to do it and get comfortable doing more of it, we have the opportunity to not just catch up with the guys, but to surpass them when it comes to wealth building. So welcome to Factora. Our mission here is big, and it is to lead 1 million women to 1 million in net worth. I'm thrilled to say it's working. Factora is like the antidote to the boys club who have been actively getting together and talking about their money and investing for decades, while we've been sitting on the sidelines feeling a bit intimidated to go have those conversations. Women in this community are constantly talking about their money, doing more investing, and passing that $1 million mark. So it's pretty fun to watch your investment confidence grow after taking the Wealth Circle. So what is the Wealth Circle? It's our 12-week course and community that helps women transform their financial lives by teaching them how to manage their money strategically, invest their money confidently, and in turn, gives them access to achieving early financial freedom. Read, not waiting until age 65 or older to retire. So I'm going to talk more about the Wealth Circle at the end of the presentation and get all your questions answered, but things you should know are that we typically run it twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall, but we are only running it this spring because this spring is going to be our 31st Wealth Circle. It's wild to even say that. And then I'm going to take a personal break to get ready for growing my family. So the Spring Wealth Circle is going to start on February 7th. It will run through mid-April. It is going to be action-packed and full of hundreds of women from across the country who are getting their financial shit together, breaking taboos, doing all the things with their money that have been on the to-do list or have felt overwhelming and they just haven't done. So it's honestly a blast and some of the best networking because these women get so personal and vulnerable when sharing their financial numbers and goals and investment strategies throughout the program. So we are opening up the cart for you during this webinar before we open to the general public tomorrow. And I should also state that we are 25% full from the pre-sale we did last year. So I say this every time because people end up in our customer service inbox asking us to get access after the Wealth Circle sells out. So this is your heads up. All right. In case you didn't know this, nothing bad happens when women have more money. In fact, when women have more money, the economy thrives, nonprofits get funded, businesses we care about get started, families are better off, we get seats at the table. So being wealthy women literally makes the world better for everyone. And I also see women become incredibly generous with their extra money. Because when you are taken care of financially on an individual level, you can focus on helping your family. When they're taken care of, you can shift your attention to your community, country, even the world. Consider your wealth like a ripple effect that has the ability to have a global impact. And just in case you're someone watching that's like, having too much money is problematic or uncomfortable or greedy, those are societally imposed beliefs, and we shed those throughout the wealth circle. Money is our opportunity to show up in the world and be the change we want to see. So women and money is an awesome thing. Okay, so who am I? I'm Allegra, founder and CEO of Factora. I actually struggled with money well into my adult life. Part of it was how I was raised by a single working mom experiencing a lot of financial struggle. But even when I started making my own money, and then a lot of it, I was not very cautious or thoughtful. I ignored it. I overspent it. I generally undervalued it and didn't have good financial habits. So I revolutionized my financial life when it finally dawned on me that just because I was good at making money didn't mean that those were the same skills required to keep and grow that money. So I was someone who was definitely guilty of lifestyle inflation. Every time I got a pay bump, I went and spent it. Like it didn't increase my savings and investments. Unfortunately, those still looked like I was at the very beginning of my career. So what changed? I learned how to invest and I built $1 million net worth. And I also just want to say I started investing with $250 a month. And that was when I was making less than $70,000 a year. So as I got more comfortable with it, I was able to increase that amount. And now I contribute over 30% of our household income to investments because I know what that will mean for my daughter growing up and hopefully my soon to be larger family. So I created Factora to help other women understand how to do this too. Because here's the thing, it actually does not matter how much you make, 50,000, 250,000, it really only matters how much of it you keep and grow. And people oftentimes conflate this. They think that making money equals having money. It does not. I used to make a really high salary, but basically had zero savings or investments to show for it. So my net worth was tiny, negative at some points. Now I'm building this company. I am purposely taking a lower salary, but I have assets that are continually growing my net worth in the background. So it's just the opposite. My income is low, but my net worth is high. So someone who has an annual paycheck of $250K and spends it in its entirety is actually less wealthy than someone who earns just $50K a year and is able to save and invest just 5 to 10% of that. So this is not a knock on Drew Barrymore, by the way. I know she's looking a little messy, but she's got plenty of money. Wealth is not a look. It is a state that frees you from worry. Okay, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about building $1 million net worth, and that requires 3 things: financial clarity, financial security, and a growth engine. So if you haven't seen it before, let me introduce you to Factora's financial framework. This little pyramid is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it's building towards financial freedom instead of self-actualization. But they're kind of one and the same. So these 5 steps are the building blocks of $1 million net worth or a multi-million-dollar net worth. Starting from the bottom and working our way up, you have to gain clarity about what your money is doing today. Where have you obligated yourself to debts and what type of spending are you doing on a monthly basis? Basically, when your income comes in, where does it go? Because if you don't know, you can't begin to even start prioritizing some of that money up the rest of the pyramid. Then we need to ensure our financial security. So it is imperative to always have an emergency fund at the ready for life surprises, as well as have an automated system ready to save for our near-term goals. Once we have achieved this level of clarity and security, It's all about turning on the growth engine via investing. So investing is how we build wealth, and building wealth is how we get access to early financial freedom. There's just no way around it. But I promise it's not hard. It's actually really rewarding when you understand investment fundamentals and feel comfortable doing more of it. So let's talk through the clarity piece. Who here has heard of the term lifestyle creep? Because I did not realize I was guilty of this in my 20s, but it means when your paycheck increases, so does your level of spending. So back when I was making a lot of money, every time I got a salary increase, I'd also get a nicer apartment or book a trip to Europe. And basically that money was spent before I even had it. And when you spend more than your income, aka live above your means, it can create debt. And when you spend less than your income, aka live below your means, it creates savings, which then gives you an opportunity to invest some of that savings to grow your net worth. And your net worth is actually your biggest wealth indicator. So tracking it is very important to know where you stand on your way to financial freedom. So how do you calculate your net worth? Here's the equation. It's pretty simple. You take your assets, or what you own that can make you money, things like stocks, dividends, real estate, business interests, and then you subtract your liabilities, or what you owe that actually costs you money. So liabilities are going to include credit card, student loan debt, car loans, mortgages, etc. And then the difference is what you actually have. And just notice your income isn't even part of this equation. So when it comes to your money, what gets measured gets managed. And we do have to calculate and keep track of our numbers so that we're able to grow them. And I know we all know our income numbers, but do you know your net worth number? Because your income only represents how much you make in a year. That's why it's so much more important to understand your net worth, because that's what you really own. So this is an anonymous poll. I realize some of you might not calculate your net worth currently, but go ahead and just guess and get those answers in. Okay. We got 1% millionaires. We love to see it. But we have a lot of people who are still on their way, and that is fine because that's what we're here to do, right? Learn and grow. So how do you build up your net worth from where it is today? Well, most of us go to a job. We go to work so that we can get money to spend on our life. And the job that you have is actually called active income because you are physically exchanging your time and your effort and your skills and your brain cells for money. And once we receive this income, we have a choice. We can spend it or we can save it. And as I'm sure y'all know, it is very easy to spend money in today's society with all those one-click purchases. And oftentimes that's what we do, right? We watch the money flow right out to things we've obligated ourselves to, liabilities like car loans and credit card repayments and subscription services. So when most of our money gets spent and is lost, we got to go out and make more money, right? If we don't have enough left over for saving and growing, we're constantly stuck in this cycle. And this is a rat race. This is where we don't want to be. When we can instead prioritize saving our income, or at least some of it, for future us, now we have options. We can either keep that money in cash, or we can move it over to the opportunity section of the financial picture. And it's in this area where we get our money invested in assets. And assets are those things that make us money I talked about, like the stocks, the real estate, the business interest, loan interest, royalties, capital gains. So we want access to that new income stream that's coming in green. And this money is important because it is actually passive income. Instead of exchanging our time for money at a job, we can learn how to invest and simply exchange our money for more money. This is a game changer, y'all. This is how we make passive income and investment returns work for us and not have to be so dependent on an active job. So putting it all together, This is how our income, liabilities, and assets work together to form our financial picture, or really our choice with what to do with our money. Spend it or get it invested in opportunities that can grow our wealth. All right, growing your net worth means more everything, more peace of mind, more optionality, more freedom. So back to our framework. Starting from the bottom, we have to make a plan to eliminate high interest debt, because high interest debt actually steals from your wealth. You are not just paying back the money you borrowed, you are paying back interest. So the average credit card interest rate is over 20%. So let's say you borrowed $10,000 on a credit card and are only paying back the minimums. It's going to end up costing you more than double what you borrowed in the first place. And we cannot have that. We need that money invested so we can be the ones earning the interest instead of paying the interest. Okay, so what does eliminating debt look like? Here's Amber, a Well Circle grad who freed up over $1,000 a month she was using to pay off credit card interest to be able to repurpose that money towards saving a $12,000 emergency fund, and then $26,000 for a house down payment, and then starting to contribute $880 a month to an investment account. That's amazing. That's how you move from the liability section over to the asset section. Okay, let's talk about security. Moving up the pyramid, we want to fill an emergency fund because an emergency fund is going to protect our wealth. Life is full of unexpected things happening, from the dog getting sick to needing to relocate for some reason to having to travel last minute. It's not a matter of if, but rather what is going to come up and how much is going to cost you. So that is why it's always important to have cash at the ready for this. So whatever happens that's already stressful, money doesn't have to be an additional stressor. I know Laura was very thankful. She built a $50,000 emergency fund after her Well Circle and really took advantage of it. In 1 year, she had to deal with a foot surgery, an appendix removal, dental bill, hit and run on her car. And then after all that, she decided to use the remaining 20 grand to support herself during a career transition because she did not feel valued where she was. That is also important. So savings is going to help strengthen our wealth, right? Beyond our emergency fund, we want to keep cash available for achieving our near-term goals. And at Factora, we define your near-term goals when we're doing our goal planning in the Well Circle as anything you want to achieve in the next 36 months. Because with such a short timeline, you don't want this money invested. But you do want it to still be growing a little bit in a savings account. So you should definitely be taking advantage of earning interest in what's called a high yield savings account. A typical savings account at banks like Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, they're only going to give you a 0.01% return for keeping your savings with them. Whereas a high yield savings account is going to get you closer to like 5% right now. And that can be the difference of earning thousands of dollars from just having your money in a better account. By the way, this is one of the first things that women take action on in the Well Circle. And it's such a great confidence boost because, especially if you're someone who hasn't intentionally looked at your bank accounts or picked out a new one in years, it might not be serving you. So going and getting a new account and making this transition and watching yourself earn interest is huge. Okay, now the fun part. Let's talk about how to turn on your growth engine through investing. Because remember, investing is the key to building wealth. So at the beginning of the presentation, I said that women are keeping too much money in cash. And the reason that's a problem is that too much money in cash, sitting on the sidelines, not invested, is actually losing purchasing power to inflation. So in a century, the value of what $100 could buy you has decreased to only afford you what $3.48 can buy you. And so this means that even if you're feeling good and feeling like I've got 30,000 sitting in cash in a savings account, the value of that 30,000 and what it can buy you is actually diminishing year after year as cost of goods rise. So this is why we want to make sure we get our money invested over just saving. We only want to keep cash and savings for emergency funds and near-term goals. Everything else we want to know how to invest. So let me illustrate the difference between saving and investing. If you put 10K in a savings account versus an investment account today, and then contributed an additional $500 a month for the next 30 years, the saver in this example would have less than $250,000 after making contributions for 30 years. Note, she saved what was in brown, right? And then that thin green line is what she made in interest. And that's assuming a 1% interest on her savings account, which I just told you most people are only earning 0.01%. But the investor, on the other hand, could be earning an average of 10% average annual rate of return from the stock market. So even though she contributed that same amount depicted in brown, compounding returns from her investments could have earned her over $1 million more than the saver. This is the power of investing and why we have to be doing more of it. Investing is what multiplies our wealth. This is why so many women in the Factora community are experiencing such big net worth increases after taking the Wealth Circle. Now they are focused on investing. They have literally turned on their growth engine, and that is what is allowing them to grow their net worth at such a fast clip because they are buying all these assets. Take Victoria, for example. Before her Wealth Circle, she had a ton of cash sitting on the sidelines. But after learning how to invest it, she moved 75% of her savings into investments, got that cash working for her, and also increased her net worth to almost $1 million. So she did a bunch of other great stuff too, like setting up savings and investment plan for her 1-year-old, maxing out her 401k and IRA for the first time. She schedules monthly finance meetings with her husband that I believe she runs. Love that too. Okay, so the growth is made possible by getting access to compound returns. So the Wealth Circle will literally turn the concept of compound returns from investing into your new best friend, because it is literally the 8th wonder of the world. You are not going to be able to shut up about it. And I love that about new Wealth Circle women, because using that exact same example as before, but now we're just looking inside the stock market account, you can see that by year 12, the money earned from investment returns is actually going to exceed the amount contributed. You just can't get that growth from a savings account. Okay, I'll use myself as an example. Over the last 5 years, I've invested month over month in my investment account, no matter the economic state of the world. I don't know if you guys were watching the news last year, but they said a recession was impending all year long, which could make people very afraid and want to stop investing because of fear. No, we're going to teach you how the mechanics of the stock market and investing work so that you don't get freaked out like that, because I started with $250 a month and I now contribute $3,000 a month and have $250,000 in my stock market investments. And let's just say for a second that I did get scared and I stopped investing altogether and no longer contributed a dollar from here on out. Well, if I just let my money stay invested, in 10 years, I could have almost 700K, and in 30 years, nearly 5 million. That's just letting compound returns do their work, right? And you can't get that from a savings account. But I'm not going to stop, y'all. I love investing and what it's done for my life. So in continuing my contributions of $3,000 a month, in 10 years, I expect to have more like $1.3 million. And in 30 years, nearly 12. And this is just in my stock market accounts. Because beyond stock market investing, which we call paper assets at Factora, I also have real estate investments and business investments in my portfolio that I intend to use to build my net worth to over 30 million in my lifetime. And I've got a plan to do it. And remember, I only got started in my 30s. So that is why I know this is possible for everyone on this call. And you might not want to have 30 million in your lifetime, and that's okay too. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn how to invest and be investing towards how much wealth you do want. Okay, you heard enough from me. I'd love for you to hear it directly from some Wealth Circle women themselves. All right. Oh no, your slide's not loading.
That's okay. I can just speak to it. And
Hey,
everyone
Liz.
imagine the slide with a lot of fun numbers on it. But hi, I am Liz. I took my Wealth Circle in spring 2021. And since then, in the last 3 years, I have increased my net worth by $150,000. And it has not been this linear up into this right thing. I have had to fill, spend, and refill my emergency fund multiple times back to the $30,000 number that feels good for me. In that time, I've faced job loss. My husband's lost his job. We've had dog emergencies, car emergencies, you name it. We've probably seen it. So it's just been a nice cushion to have as we continue to work towards our other money goals. In that time as well, I have nearly more than doubled my stock market investments from $45,000 to $110,000, which I haven't been putting huge amounts of money in there. I've just been adding as much as I can every single month. Additionally, too, in that time when I took the Wealth Circle, I identified a big value of mine in one of the exercise to be travel. So my husband and I decided to travel all across the US for an entire year. And even during that time, we were both still working remotely, and I was able to increase my income by $50,000. And then at the end of that year of travel, we bought our first property where we now live in Tampa, Florida. And we have self-funded $40,000 of renovations. And we are going to continue to buy property because I went through the Wealth Circle, I really liked real estate as an asset class. So we have a goal of buying one property a year for the next 10 years. So yeah.
Thank you, Liz, so much for sharing. If y'all want to hear more about her plan to accumulate 10 properties in 10 years, I interviewed her for a Coffee and Coin podcast episode, which is our podcast. So definitely check that out. But it's been amazing to watch everything you've done. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see if my next slide works. All right, there we go. Hey, Pam.
Hey, Allegra. Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here with you today. So I took my Wealth Circle in spring 2020 when the world was shutting down, and it was a really good time to get focused on my money. What I would say before I started Factora is I had a lot of the technical knowledge. Like I knew what a 401k was. I knew about stock market investing, but I didn't really know how to apply it to my life and the goals that I had and that I was really excited about. So as you can see by these numbers, taking Factora was big life changer for me. I was able to increase my net worth from 67,000 to 457,000 in 3.5 years, which has been amazing. The biggest thing that I learned was really about automations and how to think about setting those short-term and medium-term goals so that you can design your life the way that you want. So I started automating $8,500 a month to saving and investments accounts. So this includes my emergency savings as well as 401k and brokerage investments. I was also able to buy my first home, my primary residence, and have a big renovation, which built my equity to about 300,000. I increased my household paper assets to 224,000. And then I was also able to really think about my values and what I wanted to spend my money and my resources on. And so I was able to invest in angel invest in 3 companies that are BIPOC and women founded, which was a big goal of mine to do somewhere in the future. But with Factora and sort of getting really aligned around my values, I was able to do that right away. The other really exciting thing that I was able to do towards the end of last year was take a 6-month sabbatical from work, which is something that I didn't really think was possible, but saw a few people in the Factora community who had really taken some time off. I looked at the numbers because we had been, saving for such a long period of time since I joined Factora. We were really able to kind of pivot our money goals and our financial goals to allow me to take that time to think about what I wanted to do next and to sort of really align my values with my life and use money as a resource to do that. Thank you. Allegra, you're on mute.
Thanks, Pam. What I love so much about your story is that you learned about angel investing and started doing it right away. And I think that that's just a perfect example of why the Wealth Circle is so powerful, because we can't do things we don't know about. And it goes both ways, right? Like, I'm watching women in the community take sabbaticals. What gave me the idea to do that after I run this Wealth Circle was literally the other women doing it. So the community aspect is so powerful. And I guess I can't state that enough, because it's a real community. Like, these are real women who get together and are accountability partners and learn from each other and invest in houses together and invest in each other's companies. Like, bye boys club. We're the new one for women. So that leads me to another poll. Right now, today, I would like to know, how do you rate your confidence in making investment decisions for yourself? So 1, not very confident. 5, very confident. There's no wrong answer, obviously. I just want to know, where is your level of investment confidence today? Like, it's so nice to see Pam's and Liz's, but they weren't always like that. Neither was mine. All right, get those answers in. 40% not confident. Really, we're more like, I'm trying to do fast math. We're like 70% in the 1s and 2s. That is not okay. There are a lot of women on this call, and I don't want that to be the situation anymore. You can change that. We can change it together. So here's what investing confidence looks like. Kristen was, or is, a self-employed creative. People ask me that all the time. Can I take the Wealth Circle if I'm an entrepreneur? Yes. Kristen is a perfect example. She didn't think investing was accessible for her because of her career choice. And since then, she has opened up high yield savings account, got clear on her near-term goals, set up monthly contributions to her IRA and is maxing that out, opened a brokerage account and is contributing to that. So the best part of this example and why I shared it is because she went on to say, just doing these things and nothing more will make it so she'll have $3 million net worth in the future. And that gave her something to cackle about, because she didn't even think that this was possible for her. Mic drop. All right, let's talk about the Wealth Circle, because that's what you're here for. So the Wealth Circle is a comprehensive and immersive personal finance and investment education for women. I teach it. I've been teaching it for 5 years. I do not talk this fast on our Wealth Circle calls. Sorry, y'all, I had a lot to get in, but we go over in detail all of these different investment topics, and you're going to be able to walk away knowing how to do these things. By the way, this moving image is just the inside of what our beautiful course portal looks like. I gotta take a sip of water. Okay, I'm excited. I'm talking too much. So here's the curriculum. It's 6 sessions. Session 1, you're going to lay your investment foundation to ensure you're building on top of the very best financial principles. So we are going to quickly go through the bottom 3 steps of that financial pyramid. Session 2, we're going to deep dive the ins and outs of the stock market. Session 3, we're going to teach you about asset allocation and how to select and manage underlying investments, right? It's not going to be scary anymore. All those terms that were like, oh, diversification. No, not a big deal. We're going to learn them. We're going to apply them. Session 4 is going to cover real estate and why property can be a really solid and inflation hedging investment for your portfolio. It's not for everyone, but we're still going to talk about it. A lot of people come to the Wealth Circle for just the stock market, and then they end up choosing a different asset class as their primary asset class to build wealth with. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, session 5, we're going to talk about business investing, which is a little different because it's twofold. You can either invest in your own business or in someone else's. And how do you do that as a non-accredited investor? And then session 6 is going to help you set up accountability systems for ongoing commitment to your personal finance goals and strategies. So you're going to leave the Wealth Circle with a financial plan that you made, not someone outside of yourself. And then you're going to work that plan. And our secret sauce, which is not secret at all, but no one else does it the way we do, is really just coupling the education part with the community. So while we can teach you the what to do part, you actually have to go and take the action part on your own, right? Like I can't go and open up your brokerage accounts for you. That takes you and your social security numbers and you picking which is the right brokerage firm for you to go with. We're going to teach you how to do those things, but you have to go do them. And when you have a community of hundreds of other women doing the same things right alongside of you, it's going to motivate you to actually implement your learnings. So open the accounts, change your investment selections, set up contributions, look into real estate investing, increase your investing rate, etc. It is such a magnetizing and magical experience. And I just get to watch over here in awe as you all become lifelong money friends and confidants. So I discovered firsthand that having a community who supports, inspires, and holds you accountable is the best way to make real change occur. I know for my financial transformation, I spent like 2 years frozen, reading every single book, devouring every single podcast, and being like, I can do this on my own. I don't need to pay anyone. I don't need to pay for this. And I didn't. And it wasn't until I did that I made the change. So that is why we do this in community. There is so much power in women breaking taboos, talking about our salaries, our debts, all those things that we were told we should not talk about. It's rude or unladylike, and putting real goals and strategies in place. So that's what we do for 3 months. And then you get to keep doing it with the wider Factora community of all the alum who've ever taken a Wealth Circle. So the price of the Wealth Circle is $1,800, or we have a payment plan for 5 months. Consider it your master's in wealth building for a fraction of the price. And that best part is that you only pay once and you'll get lifetime access to both the course and the community. And the community is truly priceless. So worth noting that the average net worth increase is $34,000 within 6 months of completing your Wealth Circle, which just compounds from there over time. So really it pays for itself as long as you apply this knowledge. And as you can see, Pam and Liz are a few years past their Wealth Circle. They're still a part of the community. They are still upping their net worth. So in conclusion, before we get to Q&A, I just want to know who wants to build $1 million net worth with me and all the other Factora women and feel confident about your financial life. I hope I have proved how possible it is for me, for you today. 92%, I'll take it. 0, no thanks. So we did our job. All right. If you are ready to be a part of this wealthy women's movement, you can officially join the Wealth Circle now before we open it to the public tomorrow. Now let's get all your questions answered before we run out of time. Oh, that is why I talked so fast. We have 15 minutes for Q&A, y'all. I challenged myself to have at least 10. I beat my challenge. Hey, Tay.
Hi, you are just on top of it today.
I hope people could understand me. I know I was talking really fast. You're going to get the recording. You can can you slow them down? You can slow me down.
Yeah, you can slow it down. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Also, pardon my voice, it's a little scratchy today, but I'm gonna hang in there the best I can. If you haven't asked a question yet, feel free to hop in the Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen and drop questions in there. But we'll just start with the ones that we've already gotten. We're gonna dive in with Wealth Circle questions first, and then if we have a little time at the end, we'll get to some of the more general money questions too. So first up, just kind of like quick overview of the Wealth Circle. Once you buy it, they get lifetime access to the materials? What happens after the live 12 weeks?
Okay, that was such perfect timing because they just came and got the compost and it was really loud. Okay, what happens after the 12 weeks is that, yes, you have lifetime access to the course All of your materials are built so that you can use them for you as an individual, or if you combine your money with a partner, you can fill them out as a household. I've even seen women do both. They're like, I just want to know what my net worth is on my own, but then I want to know our combined. So all of your materials you'll get to keep with you. You'll get to update as you please. And then the biggest thing is continued access to that Slack community. When you're in the Well Circle, we keep you in the Well Circle talk channel because there's so much happening and there's a lot of great conversations, and we're going through the material at the same time. So we're focused on different topics, but after you graduate, you get access to all the channels. So there's a Bitcoin or a crypto channel, there's a family planning channel. What am I missing? There's real estate investment, like real estate partners. There are truly women like sharing deals that people want. I just connected some friends that are in Bend with a Factora woman who wants to put tiny houses on her 15-acre property. So there is actual investing partnerships to be had in the Slack community. Plus, a lot of people continue their accountability partners, which I didn't really talk on, but in the Well Circle, we set you up with 1 to 3 different accountability partners. Sometimes people like the first one they get matched with and they stick with them, which is totally fine. Other people like to try a new person. And these are women you would have never met that live somewhere else in the United States. Occasionally a Canadian. We do have some Canadians who take the Well Circle. And a lot of those relationships continue on afterwards, or people will say, I'm on to this goal. Does somebody want to be my accountability partner in starting a side hustle that makes $40,000 this year so I can up my investment rate? And then other people will jump in and be like, me, I'm doing that. And then they'll set up calls.
Yeah, it is truly just, we're here for every phase, which is my favorite part about it. Okay, a lot of questions just kind of about general live, just format of the course, if you could just explain that high level, and specifically with the live calls, we've got some people concerned if they can't make all the calls. Can you just address that as well?
Totally. Okay, we built this course for the modern millennial woman. So we get it. You're busy. Schedules are crazy. People have demanding jobs or kids, or sometimes they can't make calls. Don't freak out. It's not the end of the world. However, we do not record these calls because we spend the majority of those calls in small breakout groups. We put 4 to 6 women in an intimate group to talk through different financial aspects that are related to that session. So you will not be missing anything if you don't join this live call in terms of education. All we do is preview what's coming up in the next session to get you psyched about that investment topic. The only thing you'll be missing is the opportunity to network more with the women in the Well Circle. There's only 6 calls that happen over the 3 months, so it's every other week. Basically, we have a call, we preview the session, we drop the session in your portal, you watch the videos from that session, you do the correlating assignments, and then after session 3 is when we start pairing you with accountability partners. And then you meet with your accountability partner, and then you come to the live call. And then the entire time you have access to Slack. The Well Circle talk channel is where you can ask questions about your homework. People are talking about the high yield savings accounts they're picking, the different interest, like it's just very fun. We go through the course together as a group.
Totally.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think that was it. But one more logistical question while we're kind of on it, about how much time per week should these women expect to put into the course to
Okay,
be
that's a good question. I'm not gonna lie, the Well Circle is hard because financial lives get a little complex, especially when we're not paying attention to them. But like, we might have multiple bank accounts, we might have multiple investment accounts, credit cards, and you do have to go gather all those things. So there's prep work before we even get to the first live session, where you're going to be doing your net worth spreadsheet. Later, we're going to do a lifestyle analysis. That's where we were talking in this presentation about what gets measured gets managed, and you're going to look through your household spending and figure out like what you spend where and how you might want to reprioritize that. So when it comes to doing the homework and watching the videos, you need probably 2 hours a week. I would say over the 12 weeks, you probably need 30 to 40 hours total dedicated to this, which is not that much time to transform your financial life. But if I really recommend that you put like money dates with yourself on your calendar and do this, because what happens is people will fall behind and then they come to a live call and then they're so freaking excited to go. And that reinvigorates them. But it's better to just keep up with it as you go. So dedicate about 2 hours a week.
Perfect. Okay, so then we have a lot of people who are either currently retired, are in between jobs, or just are working with like a variable income from month to month. So like, does the Well Circle make sense for them, or is this more for a 9 to 5 type of
Okay,
work?
currently retired, I want to know you and why you're retired. That's awesome. If you're on a sabbatical or if you're in between jobs, I actually think that this is a great time to take a Well Circle. We get this question all the time, and I find it so interesting. I need to get more women to do testimonials that have done this, because we've had a lot of women take it in this break time where they are not making an income and finding it so helpful that they have a clear plan of where to designate their money when they start making an income again. So for instance, that lifestyle analysis where you're trying to figure out what you're spending on different fixed expenses, flex expenses, and savings and investments, you'll percentage all that out and you'll literally have your own formula for where to put your money when you start making an income again. What was there was retired, there was between jobs, on break, and what was the last one? Oh, variable income.
Yeah.
Yes, variable income. All the spreadsheets can be used with variable income as well. We have a ton of people who are entrepreneurs, so they just don't make the same amount of money on a month-to-month basis. They might have a seasonal business, and same with sales, women in sales that have, you know, like a very low salary and then most of it's commission. It's just money, right? At the end of the day, it's just numbers that you're going to work based on your values and your goals. And here's the real truth, which I should have said in the beginning of this presentation. Literally, no one who comes into the Well Circle has their financial goals outlined and written down. They know conceptually things like, I want to make 20% more next year, or I want to fill my 401k finally this year, or I want to start a college fund for my kid. But those are like one-offs. I'm talking about what are the financial goals you want to accomplish in your lifetime. And we're going to bucket them in, is that a near-term goal, a mid-term goal, or a long-term goal? And then based on what timeline it is to those goals, it's different accounts and different automations and different prioritization. And you're going to be able to create that financial plan by the end of the course.
Okay. Okay, next question. I always feel like I should have more of a response to your answers, but really I'm just gonna keep the question balls rolling.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so next question is the Well Circle right for me if I have 80 to 90K household income, or is it better for someone with a larger annual income?
That's why I tried to do the example of it doesn't matter if you have 50,000 or 250,000. People get so stuck in like, what is their income? It doesn't matter your income. It matters that you learn how to invest and start investing even just 1% of your income. 1% is better than 0%. 2% is better than 1, right? I see women go through the Well Circle who have, again, low income, high income. It doesn't matter. And honestly, let me say this. I've seen women with high incomes have a harder time lowering their lifestyle costs because they might make over 200,000, but they have this is a real example, but like they might have an expensive G-Wagon and like a really expensive rental, and like it's harder to get out of those things than it is to, if you don't have yourself tethered to those stuff, just start investing more on a lower income. So it's like if I could have everyone wake up tomorrow less worried about their income and more clear that it's their investing rate that matters, a percentage of whatever amount they make, that would be my biggest wish granted. So yeah, 80-90 is great, 50-60 is great, 380-90 is great. And what's really fun is when you get in the breakout rooms, you guys are all going to share how much you make, and like we don't play hand of God. We just are like, how many women are here tonight? Let's break you out into these 50 breakout rooms. And then you're going to see people who are on a sabbatical making nothing, see people who are making $500,000 a year. That's great. Like the whole point is just to have this diversity of thoughts and strategies and goals.
Totally. Okay, you've kind of just started to hit on this, but let's just like drive it home. Someone said that they already have the basics in place. They know their net worth. They have their goals outlined, and automation set up. Do you think the wall circle will still be beneficial for them?
Yes. Here's why. Well, let me. Do you have a financial community that you talk to about your next plans and goals? If yes, then maybe not. If or unless you want more of that. If no, then definitely the well circle will be helpful, because we've had a lot of women come in who are like, I'm doing all the things right, but I have no one to talk about my money with. And that's been a game changer. We've also had a lot of women come in who they have $1 million net worths. Like they have over $1 million in their stock market portfolio because they've been pretty consistent investors for 15, 20 years. And they're like, oh, I didn't think about real estate or business investing. I didn't realize I didn't have enough cash on hand for some of the things I wanted to do. So, yeah, it's just interesting. I think everyone pegs themselves as like, I'm a novice or I'm intermediate or I'm advanced. And that is the point of the diversity of the group. We're all learning from each other, including me.
So true. Okay, two more questions. We're almost out of time, but someone kind of just asked what if you know, and we may not have this info off the top of our heads, but I think it's a good thing to speak to, like how when we're talking about these net worth increases for graduates, like is that mostly coming from their success in the stock market, from real estate, from entrepreneurship? Is it a mix of all three? Just anything you can speak to there.
I mean, yeah, it so depends. So you heard Liz and Pam's example. Pam is someone who makes a high salary. So a lot of hers is coming from personal household income going into stock market investments. Liz, she makes less of salary. So a lot of hers is like, how can we be smart about real estate investing? And so they've done a lot of house hacking, interesting. There's so many ways to get creative with wealth building. I can tell you, of the $86,000 I made last year from my investments, a third of that was from the stock market. The rest was from real estate. I actually don't count Factora in my public net worth numbers. So that's not included. So it depends. Some people literally don't use all three asset classes. They just use one. And that doesn't matter. What matters is that if you are only using one, you are properly diversified inside that asset class, which we talk about a lot. Also, I just want to shout out Talita if she's still on here, because she said, I wanted to do a well circle for actual years now. I'm so ready to make 2024 the best year ever. We have had so many women who've been watching us from the beginning. There were like 2 women who posted on LinkedIn this week saying things like, it took me 2 years to finally do the well circle, and I wish I hadn't waited so long. And I love it when people finally make the choice for them. And just a reminder, we are only running it live one time this year. So if you're like, fall would be better, but I want to do it this year, spring is your best option.
And the other thing I'll say about kind of like the asset classes too is like part of the benefit of having continued access to the community and the materials is that even if like you start by focusing on the stock market now and that's where you see your initial success, like if in a year or 2 years you're ready to dive into real estate more or entrepreneurship, like you can always come back to these materials and resources. And I think we see a lot of women do that and kind of steadily build on top of
Totally.
their
And I think people change course a lot too, but this is where there's literally no alternative for experience. I think people get really people come to the Well Circle, like majority for stock market investing. And then they're like, ooh, real estate and business investing is pretty interesting. And then some people try their hand at real estate investing and they're like, F that. I don't like having to figure out what's the right deal and cash flow. And it's a lot more like setting it up work than I'd like before it gets passive. And they're like, yeah, I love stock market investing because it's passive from the get-go. You just pick your investment selections, make sure to rebalance, and keep pumping money in there. So experience from investing is also just really critical to mention here, because watching the community do it and trying to do different things yourself is going to teach you not just what you do like, but also what you don't like, so you can reprioritize focusing on the asset class you do.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is a good, I have to answer this. Imani
Yeah.
just asked, how does our program differ from Dow Jones, Ellevest, and Female Invest? So Ellevest is a financial product company. They do have a few like workshops that you can take, and you can pay to meet one-on-one with a certified financial planner. But what they're really focusing on is you using their robo advisor or one of their savings accounts. Like they make money obviously when they have your assets under management. We
Yeah.
are product agnostic. So we are not selling you products. The only thing we are selling you is education. When you come in, you can talk to all the other women about what accounts they like. And people will literally share, I do or don't like Ellevest. I do or don't like Wealth Simple, Betterment, all the different robo advisors that are options. But we don't care what you use. We want you to understand how to pick out an account and do it for yourself. Dow Jones and Female Invest, I don't know well enough, but I don't believe they have the community layer or the like ongoing, never repay again, get access to the community for life. And that part, I am so it is so important to me. I wanted to create this company to have the wealth building community I wanted for a lifetime. And so I wanted to make sure that it was accessible to anyone else for a lifetime. Now, the reason we don't let people into the Slack community without taking the Wealth Circle is because we all need to be talking the same language. So everyone who's gone through the Wealth Circle understands the same concepts and investment fundamentals so that we can have really quality conversations inside the community.
Okay, that was amazing. I think that is all the time we have. We're a few minutes over. Y'all, there were over like 70 questions. So I promise if we did not get to your question live, we will follow up via email. And if you don't hear from us within like 24 hours or so, feel free to email us at just info@factorawealth.com. Because I know we want to make sure you guys have all the info you need. But thank you.
We have the best customer service. We are real women building wealth together who care so much about our customers. That's another way we're different from any other company. I know that for a fact. So email your questions that didn't get answered. I'm sorry we run out of time. We try and be really respectful of time, but I appreciate you all so much and hope to see you in the spring 2024 Wealth Circle.